Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by Larry King Law. Injured in an accident, call 757-INJURED for Larry King. Matt Hatfield here, Dino Franza as well. And before we bring in my usual cohort, the coach Ed Young of Nansemond River High School fame, if you missed the first hour of the show, well, you missed the top of the show, which was this.
Oral Roberts, meanwhile, trying to pull off a stunner as a 15 against Ohio State, who fell to Illinois in the Big Ten Tournament Championship. What chance do you give them against the Buckeyes?
They could have Oral Roberts, Billy Graham. Who's another evangelist out there? It don't matter.
Jimmy Swagger?
Swagger, whoever. It's over quick. This is over quick. Ohio State is another team that I've heard people say can win the whole thing, not just get to the Final Four. I think this is a 20-point win for Ohio State.
You know, all that homework you did, and you didn't even bring it up, that Oral Roberts from Tulsa, Oklahoma, has the nation's leading scorer, Max Abmas, A-B-M-A-S, who's averaging over 24 points a game, nearly 90% from the foul line, and he's a sophomore, 6'1" guard. How did he end up at Oral Roberts as a sophomore? Who missed the boat at Tulsa or Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State's got Cade Cunningham, we'll get to in a moment. How do you not get this kid? Mad Max is going to put Oral Roberts in the lead at halftime. And then the second half, they're going to get blown away. They're going to be winning at halftime and lose this game.
You dope.
Give me the Buckeyes. But for a half, we're going to be talking about Oral Roberts. For a half.
More than a half as we say hello now to the coach. Ed Young, boy, we sounded foolish, didn't we? Ed, that was rough audio from the other night we did our Zoom preview. How are you, my friend? Coach, are you there? I'm not hearing you at all. All right, I thought we had Ed on the line here. We'll see if we can. Can
you hear me?
Oh, now we got you. We got you. Yeah, I think you had yourself on mute is probably what you did. I do that sometimes when I'm talking to somebody on the telephone and they're going, hello, what happened? And I look over and I'm like, oh, my ear hit the mute button. So
it's probably because of the brackets. I'm bracketed out. I threw it away. After the first 5 to 6 games, I'm done. Some of these teams, I got to be careful what I say because the FCC will fire everybody. I said it before, and I don't know why I didn't have the guts to do it. Why is everybody talking about Purdue? Purdue this, Purdue that. I even had a coworker had Purdue winning it all, and I looked at him and said, you know, there's a small chance they won't even get out of the first round, let alone get tripped up along the way. He said, I just think they got a complete team. I said, okay. Now, I picked Purdue to win the first round, so I can't say much. Oral Roberts beating Ohio State has to be, in my eyes, I got to go back and look at all of them, among the top 10 upsets in the country ever in the NCAA tournament. Ohio State had knocked down, had won everything in terms of the battle on the paper, which, of course, you don't win games on paper. Oral Roberts, they got the leading scorer in the country. Most teams that aren't real good have the leading scorer in the country. Go back and look it up. I don't know when the last time a top 10 team in the country had the leading scorer in the country. It usually doesn't happen. But to no end, North Texas State, Oral Roberts belong in the tournament. They got to win because that's what they came for and that's what they got. So hats off to them, and both of them enjoy it because they'll both be blown out in the second round.
Oh, you're giving us more audio for next week when they both get blown out in the second round. I'm not so sure of that. We'll look at tomorrow's matchups in the next segment. But you know what's crazy? I watched North Texas last weekend when they beat Western Kentucky in the Conference USA Championship, and they came storming back to win that game. Probably should have lost it against Charles Bassey, the projected first-round pick from WKU. And I said, you know, they play pretty good defense, and they hit threes a lot. And now they're getting Villanova, who, by the way, everybody was picking that upset. Like I said at the top of the show, the two things I learned take away is, number one, trust your own eyes. And number two, it coincides with the first one, don't buy into the hype with everyone else picking a certain upset. Do your, and I think we all get caught up in that here and all these different talking heads, and we, want to follow that same path, but it always leads you down the path of destruction, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, let's take Syracuse, San Diego State.
Yeah.
Okay,
by the way, you said San Diego State last week, so I'm blaming you on that one for everybody.
Yeah, you don't put a seat on either team, most of the time you're taking Syracuse because of their strength of schedule, where they play. But San Diego State has played well. The last couple years, they have done very well. They're a team back when Steve Fisher was coaching them, were a team nobody wanted to play in the NCAA tournament. Upset alert, here comes San Diego State. Well, now they get into the tournament, and I think they had a six seed, if I'm not mistaken, or fifth seed, something like that.
Yeah.
So if you pick San Diego State, you're not picking the upset because Syracuse came in as an 11. So if you pick Syracuse, you're picking a big upset. But Syracuse beating San Diego State is not a big upset. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Buddy Boeheim wasn't from another world yesterday, they wouldn't have won. That kid hit every shot. I think he hit 2 shots and he didn't even shoot the ball. He was on fire, in an old phrase to use. I think he dropped, 35 points. But again, when you look at these, when you come into the tournament, you sit down, everybody's doing their brackets. And by the way, those 108 people on ESPN's bracket saying contest, how in the world could you pick North Texas State or Roberts? I just don't see picking one, maybe picking both. You're doing it on whim. I think somebody said they picked it based on what mascot would beat up the other mascot, and that's why one of them were undefeated. I just laugh when I hear that because you got dodos like you and me trying to look at all this information to try to pick a smart bracket, and you got somebody else picking either team colors or team mascots, and they have an undefeated bracket. Unbelievable.
By the way, in one of the brackets of the 10 that I filled out on ESPN.com, I think it's in the Tony Kornheiser Show group, I think I've gotten all but one right. So I actually have 15 out of 16 in one of the brackets. But I didn't have North Texas. I did have Oral Roberts in one of those, which was just off a whim. Keith, by the way, has Norfolk State beating Gonzaga tonight, even though he had Gonzaga in the championship game. So he's covering both bases there.
There's a little quandary there. How can they pick them to lose in the second round, technically their first round?
I want
to win the title.
Hey, Ed, I want to play the bracket by those rules. You win no matter what.
Yeah, right. You're going to win no matter what. If you lose in the first round, you're supposed to win it all, so you just keep playing. Move on.
Let's go through these games for today to take a time out and go through tomorrow's real quickly, and we'll get you guys to chime in on point spread here. Colorado the 5, Georgetown the 12 comes your way at 12-15. Buffalo's 5.5-point favorites. Ed, what do you like?
I think I picked Georgetown to begin with, and I'm going to stay with them. I think they're hot right now, playing in a real fun way. Colorado, I guess, come from being out of the West, and I'm not a Pac-12 diehard, even though Oregon State, the team picked last in the Pac-10, wins the tournament. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's Tennessee beats them by 12. That didn't happen.
No.
I just think Georgetown's got a little bit more firepower than Colorado.
So you're going Georgetown, the Hoyas.
I'm going.
What about you, Dino?
And again, based on seeds, it's supposed to be an upset.
Well, were you taking the 5.5 like Ed there, Dino?
Well, Georgetown is playing well. I agree there, but I got to go the other way.
I'm with you. I like Colorado to win and cover there. UNC Greensboro, the 13, Florida State, the 4. 10.5-point favorites are the Noles. I think they cruise in this one. They're a team I think can get to the Final Four out of that East region. But you, Ed?
Agree. They cover, and I agree they're a team that can get to the Final Four. Very athletic. They've been on the cusp of just about being there the last few years. So maybe this could be the one. And I think most of the matchup, I think somewhere, though, they'd have to beat, I think, Alabama. And Alabama's awful good.
Them or Texas potentially in the Elite Eight. What about you, Dino? Do you buy into Wes Miller and UNCG to pull the shocker today?
No. I'll go the other way.
3-seed Kansas, 20-8. Eastern Washington, the 14. Jayhawks 10.5-point favorites, Dino, and we don't know who's going to be playing. It does sound like David McCormick is definitely going to play today, the former Norfolk Academy standout.
Yeah, and they're dealing with the COVID issue like UVA has been. So do they cover that? I think they win. I'm not so sure they cover the point spread, though.
All right. What about you, Ed? You think it could be a win and no cover?
I just think Kansas has a little too much. But this game is very similar. Oral Roberts, Ohio State, very similar. Eastern Washington, nobody can name a player on that team. Nobody can name a coach, and I'm not sure people can name what city they're in. But I'm going with Kansas. But I'm telling you, I have a slight feeling this could be very reminiscent of Oral Roberts and Ohio State.
What you talking about, Coach? You a knucklehead. That's terrible. They in Washington on the east side. That's what Charles Barkley told me. I'm going with Kansas over EW, but I'm like you, Dino. I think Eastern Washington can cover this game. St. Bonaventure, the 9 against Will Wade of LSU. Cameron Thomas, the former Oscar Smith standout at Chesapeake. Tigers favored by 2. I like LSU to win not just this game, guys. I got them going to the Sweet 16 and knocking off Michigan in the next round. What says you, Ed?
I'm gonna pick LSU only because I think they're much more talented and they're a little deeper. But I really like Bonaventure, how they play. They don't make many mistakes. I like Bonaventure a lot, and I really want to pick them. But I just think LSU is not one of the smartest teams in the country.
No.
They play raggedy at times. They can play easily into a 15-point lead, and then 2 minutes later easily play right out of it because they don't know each other on the court. But I just think they have enough talent. But again, if Bonaventure wins, no surprise whatsoever.
A top 20 offense for LSU versus a top 20 defense of St. Bonaventure. How about you, Dino?
I think LSU wins, and they win by more than 2.
All right. A few more, and we'll take a timeout and do the last 8, and then do tomorrow's games as well. Texas Southern the 16, Michigan the 1. Wolverines by 25.5. I think Michigan hailed to the victors. Without Livers, though, they might not cover. I'll go Michigan, but Texas Southern to cover. What about you, Dino?
Yeah, they lose the leading scorer. I think they win, but I agree, no cover.
All right, Ed?
I think in this game, losing Levers is not a big deal. Texas Southern had to struggle to beat Mount St. Mary's. Now, Texas Southern can put it up, but once again, I don't think they have the depth that Michigan has. I think Michigan wins. I'm going to say double digits.
All right. UCS, well, we know it's double digits. Do they cover 25.5? Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay, yay.
I think they do.
All right. UCSB, the 12, Creighton, the 5. Ed, Creighton's favored by 7.5 here. You got UCSB going to Sweet 16, don't you?
I know I got them winning at least one game. I'm going to stay with them. I'm going to say Santa Barbara upset over Creighton. I like Creighton. I hate what happens during the year when McDermott said his stupid comment. But on the other hand, I wanted to pick a darling underdog at the beginning of the tournament, and I think Santa Barbara was mine. I'm going to stick with them.
The Gauchos, how about you, Dino? They're 18-1 since January 1st.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them pull the upset, so why not? I'll take them.
I'll go Creighton to win, but I like getting 7.5. That's too many points for a team that's fragile coming off a bad showing in the Big East tournament against Georgetown. Iona, the 15, Ed, coached by Rick Pitino, your long-lost buddy. He's not your photo doppelganger for tomorrow, by the way. Alabama, the 2, favored by 16.5, and I think you like the Tide to win and cover.
Yeah, I do. I like Pitino. He's one of my all-time favorite in coaching. I just think he's from that UB Brown coaching tree, and we all know UB Brown is one of the absolute best, if not the best, back in the day. Chuck Daly also. Alabama. If Iona was playing pretty much anybody else, I would go with the upset, but I don't think they have. He's done a great job to get him there, get Iona into the tournament. But Alabama is just very, very good.
Dino?
Yeah, you got to go Alabama. The SEC is just so much. They're stronger. I got to go with them anyway. You don't have to.
Roll Tide. Yeah, Roll Tide. I don't think Iona gives them any problems. Last 2 before we go to timeout here. Drake, the 11, USC, the 6. I like Southern Cal. Evan Mobley's a top 5 pick, and I think they cover to 6.5. Dino?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Ed?
I'm going Southern Cal, but won't be one bit shocked if Drake beats them.
So you like Drake getting 6.5?
Yeah, Drake. I think Drake covers, but Southern Cal wins it. Again, it's a Pac-12 team. I don't have a lot of faith in them, but I just don't have the guts to pick Drake.
All right, our last one here before we go to break here. Grand Canyon, the defense, the rebounding. The Antelopes, Ed, they're second in the country in field goal defense, taking on Iowa, the 2, laying 14 with Luka Garza. What do you think?
I've been a big Iowa supporter all year. Before the season started, I thought they were potentially, back then, I could be a Final Four team because of Garza, and they have some decent ability around them. I'm going to stay with Iowa, but Grand Canyon, I'm going to stay with Iowa, but Grand Canyon to cover.
All right, Dino?
I'm going to take Iowa in a close game.
Ooh.
Yes, close, low-scoring game, I think.
I think this will mirror yesterday's Colgate, Arkansas, where Grand Canyon is up late in the first half, but then Iowa blitzes them in the second half, and Garza's unstoppable. So give me Iowa to win and get the backdoor cover. We'll come back with the other 8 games, including the ones with UVA, VCU, NSU, and try to pick an upset for tomorrow right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.